considerable margin. And are you excited about that? Are you
Not the
bracing
gayest
yourself?
Star Wars. Not the
It's pretty gay. Let's be honest. Leslie, how do you feel?
Am I gay?
Yes. Well, no, I know
Yeah.
you are gay, but I'm asking, are you excited about putting this, this is going to be a talking point.
Is it going to be a talking point?
I'm sure so.
Because nerds are gay.
Well,
Yeah.
some nerds are very not gay and are very threatened by gay
Well, that's
stuff.
true. But
Yeah.
in my world, nerds are gay.
Okay. Was this the fun elements of it?
No, I don't think so. And yet people have told me that it's the gayest Star Wars, and I frankly
You're offended?
into it. No.
I think that Star Wars is so gay already.
Okay.
I mean, have you seen the fits? We'd be like, look how gay this is, and then send each other a reference photo.
And are you telling me with a straight face that C-3PO is straight?
They're a couple. That's what I think. But this is more outward.
I think it's canon that R2-D2 is a lesbian.
Oh,
Ooh.
interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Ask Filoni. Okay.
Ask for
Can you
one.
imagine?
Yeah, talk to Filoni.
All right, enough of that. What's going on, everybody? What's up, guys?
Hey,
Look at that.
That is trolling to the nth degree.
That's their promo tour.
That's crazy. For you to try and do that while trying to get butts and seats is ridiculous.
And it's kind of the reason why I'm like, what is canon? What does that mean? Does it mean anything anymore? This is fan fiction to me. Like, I don't care if it's live action, it ties into anything. This is just not for me, and maybe it's for somebody. I don't really care. It's not. I think canon is now something I have to construct in my own head. What do you think?
see, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I was totally blindsided by that introduction that you had. You did not give me any forewarning that was going to come up,
Right.
that this was going to be a part of this stream. I did not know. I thought we were talking about canon, and then you pop up with like this whole thing on the Acolyte. So I completely disagree with your argument on canon, and we're going to have plenty of conversation about that. Now, I do understand where you're coming from on this, in that it's what they're doing here is they are trying to create like their own little section of the universe that they can now, like, it can be theirs, and they can have like some ownership over their thing. And I don't mind doing that, honestly, because we've done that with things too, but it seems to be very overbearing. And when you take something like that and make it the central focus, and then Star Wars is just the other part of it, it kind of, that's where it kind of takes the fun out of it. And then when you introduce some of this stuff as being the main contiguous storyline, contigenous, whatever that word is, so that's where it's like, what was so wrong with the way that it was?
Well, that's the thing, and that's the
to have an addition to everything that's going on. It's another when it's like we have to change. It can't just be like we have a storyline about a select series of characters. Now it's like we're going to have
to change the fundamentals.
Yeah, and we're going to take that storyline and we're going to change the foundation of everything you know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like, that's not. I don't really consider that to be like real Star Wars anymore. Like, I understand back in the day, it was a reason when you had the extended universe, all the books, everything didn't always line up. So when you made a live action or a cartoon or whatever, you could consider it canon, right? But man, it's been a long time since I've considered any of, when it comes to Star Wars, I don't consider the sequels canon. I don't consider maybe The Mandalorian, because it works for me.
Right.
So
I think that would consider canon.
That's just being biased towards what we like, though. But there was a point in time where this happened with every source of media. Every franchise has made this turn, and that's where the problem lies. It's not honest. It's not pure, and it's not even fan fiction. It's just, showing your belly to a minority that wants to feel included when they should have already felt included. It's
They
ridiculous.
should have included if they wanted to be inclusive. Well, they could have just added a character or added an aspect. Maybe like
Right.
people have done it and it worked. They don't have to
No.
change. The Force is now a lesbian or something. I haven't watched the Acolyte.
Nobody had an issue with Ahsoka in the Clone Wars. She was a phenomenal character with character growth and development in the CGI show. I don't know if you guys watched that on Cartoon Network or what.
Yeah, oh yeah,
You're familiar?
that one was cool.
Nobody
I thought
had an
you were talking
issue
about
with
the live
her being
action.
part of it. Nobody had an issue with not Korra. People kind of had an issue with Korra, but whatever that girl's name was that followed Aang around in Avatar: The Last Airbender, nobody had a problem with her and her development. It's when you are directly trying to just insert bullshit agenda that everybody started like perking up their ears and noticing what was going on, and that's when we got sick of any hint of it taking place. Like Furiosa. Furiosa was not really a bad film, but because we have that mentality now that, oh, it's got to be female led, because it is now past the year 2019, everything has become agenda based, and it's kind of unfair at the same time.
Yeah, Furiosa just didn't look like. I like that actress. I like. What did I? I mean, it looked fine. I just wasn't interested in paying, the ticket price to
That's
go
fine.
watch that movie.
But that's Furiosa that just recently came out. What about when Charlize Theron played Furiosa, the older self, and we had that one
was
beforehand?
a Mad Max movie, and I love Mad Max,
Yeah,
and it looked cool.
So,
I thought that was really good. Yeah,
right.
I liked that movie. I thought it was really cool.
Right. So the problem that we have now is that we've left 3 or 4 years, and we now have an agenda in front of everything, and we can't see past that almost.
You know what? I'm going to play devil's advocate on that one, and I'm going to do it completely blind because I haven't seen Furiosa.
Sure.
But I'm going to play devil's advocate and say that I bet that the Charlize Theron one, like, I think it did really well. I think it produced well at the box office. And if I'm not mistaken, they actually had a video game that was actually one of those video games that was highly underrated. Like, it's a really good video game and did decent on sales, good enough to pay back. Long story short, I think that they probably made money to the point where they're like, you know what, she could hold down a standalone film as opposed to it being like other. Maybe it falls into like, it fills different buckets. Like the character was able to handle a standalone, and it also checks some other boxes that we as a company want to.
A Charlize Theron Furiosa movie would have been better, in my opinion. I would actually.
Well, that's
maybe
true. It should have been.
And I'll even give it to you that first Furiosa film, because that's what it was. It wasn't Mad Max. Tom Hardy was just there, but they build Tom Hardy as going to be being a huge part of it when he was actually a side character in his own saga. And that one, the first one with Charlize Theron, that should have been Furiosa from the get-go, not this new one. This is like a prequel to that. So I get that they did the bait and switch thing, kind of like they did with He-Man. And when you do that,
where they're like telling you it's going to be this, but the thing about He-Man, that got called out way early on. Like, this was straight up, like, this is what you're going to get. You know what you're going to get. He-Man, they did tell you one thing and then lead you on, which is, I wouldn't say it's okay, but when he got called out and then the lies came out, like Kevin Smith lying about how, no, you're wrong, and then like trashing the people, I think it was Clownfish TV that was talking about it. Right. He was like trashing them, saying they're liars or something, and then they were right. Like, where's the apology, dude? I lost a lot of respect for Kevin Smith.
There's no way.
Yeah, just curious, bro. Have you seen the new Furiosa? I'm curious if the storyline is one that, like, does that go against the grain of all the other Mad Max?
I haven't seen it, so this is all just me coming off of what I've seen from the trailer. But I did see the first one with Charlize Theron.
Yeah, okay, same here.
So that's where I kind of like I'll give a little bit, because I haven't seen it, and I
Sure.
don't want to say it's just,
It seems
fan
like it's
fiction,
what we're
whatever.
talking about. Of course, there's like outrage, because I guess some people did watch it and didn't like it, or some people are outraged and won't watch it. I'm not outraged. I'm just not interested in seeing it. But I see thumbnails and catchphrases on YouTube saying like the fans, like blaming people for not watching it. You're the reason this movie failed,
I
essentially,
hate
is what
that.
I'm hearing.
I hate that shit.
And I'm like,
I do too.
I don't.
Yeah, that
Why
drives
are
me
you
up.
relying on me to keep the movie wasn't made for me? Why do you need me to
Right.
make it happen? Like, I'm not going to throw money at something I don't want to watch. I don't have to. I'm not going to hate it. I'm
No,
just not going to
like,
watch it. I don't care.
No, like the new Doctor Who guy. I forget what his name is because it's hard to pronounce anyway. But when they did that and they even brought back like one of the main showrunners to like write the script who did it in the past, they were like, yeah, Doctor Who's gay now. It's not made for straight white males or whatever. You know what? Don't watch our show. And we were like, bet.
Yeah.
And we didn't watch it.
I like Doctor Who. When it got to the girl Doctor Who, I watched a few episodes and was like,
Right.
I kind of started falling off and lost interest. I do plan to watch all of it. I do have like a couple seasons on DVD. I don't know, Walmart had a sale. And
Which
but I
is
haven't
fine,
seen
but you already
anything
started
after
losing
that.
people. You already started losing people as soon as you made it a woman. And it's not because of any.
I'm surprised they haven't done that
there's
sooner.
a lot revolved around that one because it never happened before. There's no reason for it. And it was just tagged on because of the agenda thing.
I mean, if it had happened 10, 15 years ago, it wouldn't have been an agenda. It would have been some clever storytelling thing, right? But now when everything is like that, it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. People are like, oh, it's just another one of those things. I'm not going to watch it. And then they're haters. I'd say the haters or whatever, they're whatever they call people like that. They're like,
yeah,
if they're not talking crap, who cares? Like, if you got these channels that are sitting there day and night trashing on something,
right.
a lot of times they haven't even seen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's annoying, but I'm just like, I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to watch it.
Anthony Mackie, Captain Falcon, Captain America, Falcon, whatever. Yeah, Captain Falcon.
America.
But
America Falcon.
Anthony Mackie said during the whole Black Panther film that you want to mostly just it's black based movie. It's in Africa. You're gonna be having black characters all over the place. You get it. We get the one white dude, and you call him a fucking colonizer, like you've never heard of the Spanish Inquisition or any other part of history, and then at the same time, behind the scenes on set, you just want to hire black production. Anthony Mackie had a problem with it. Does that sound more racist than just a normal production?
Yeah. You know what would have been awesome in like regards to Star Wars?
Right.
Like what I would consider canon day and night, it actually it kind of follows suit with Return of the Jedi. But like this, I would have totally gone down for that. Some Rey. You know what I'm saying?
You know,
what
I
I'm saying,
understand.
Stanley?
I would watch that, but I would definitely be like, that is way out of line from any other Star Wars female character I've seen.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
I know that they had issues. Like I know Carrie Fisher had issues with that outfit, and I know that there was like some backlash and stuff like that. There's also God knows how many posters they sold, and
but they sold them. They did sell them.
Yeah, they took every dollar of that. You're damn right they did. They went like I don't even know how to touch on this. It's just going to sound sexist. There's no way you can do it. Whatever. But it's like they went so far. That is the whole thing, and you're right about that. They went so far the other direction, where like after that happened, it was like we are never going to show ankles again, and it's I think that is unfortunate. Like you didn't need the Carrie Fisher thing. It's no one's going to complain about it. I don't think even to this day, no one's going to say a word about it. but you don't have to get so terrified that it becomes like a foundational element of everything that you do going forward to do the exact opposite.
Right. No, I agree. Like,
yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
You can see the transition of sexuality being muddled way down, even in the Marvel films from phase 1 to phase 5. You can see how Scarlett Johansson came in looking sexy with the tight clothing, the blouses, the tight dress. You know, she now, to be fair, she's a spy. That's her fucking job, is to act that way and get close to Tony Stark. But as soon
and it
as
did follow along the lines with the comic book character.
Right. And after the first Avengers film, when she did that whole like being caught and on the chair, tied up in the chair thing, after that whole scene, it completely changed for her. She was now just, you know, loose fitting, all this stuff. But we did a total 180 with it, and we made it to where all the males have to take off their shirts for every movie, and then we're just going to strip Thor down butt naked in front of all the gods.
Oh yeah, in that latest Thor movie, which I thought the beginning of that movie, honestly, that movie was not good in my opinion, but I did like Christian Bale in that movie. I thought he,
I don't see the fairness anywhere.
It's not fair. I mean, we've had our time.
Yeah, that's
our movies for.
I'm sorry to say that Christian Bale may have done a good job. Nobody cared because that movie was complete and utter garbage from start to finish.
Yeah, the Screaming Goats are funny,
and I'm going to say no, they weren't. I'm going to say that that movie is a perfect example of like. Okay,
is
so
it canon?
This
you
whole
consider that canon?
See, that's the thing that I'm like trying to touch on with that. It's like it's canon involved. Here's my thing with this entire conversation. This is where it all stems from. This is my point. This is the ground that I'm standing on with it.
Okay.
When you have a story, you have to tell like there are elements that you have to follow when you tell a story. You have a beginning and a middle and an end, and sometimes select writers, when they are writing a story, they have the ability of writing a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end, and then a continuation to that. In rare circumstances, you are able to make that first beginning, middle, and end the beginning of a 3-part series. Star Wars is a great example of that. Episodes 4, 5, and 6. They follow the your ABC, and then they also do it to a larger degree ABC. There is a beginning and there is an end to those 3 movies. If they were going to continue that, all the backstory stuff has to have its own ABC, and if you're going to do a trilogy on that, it's also got to do its own ABC, 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 and it has to follow in line with the ABC, ABC, ABC of 4, 5, and 6.
It's got to follow at least with like the world
coherent story. It has to be, and it doesn't have to be as simple as ABC. This is just breaking it down for the purposes of argument. It has to be a coherent story. It has to be it's going to be a good story, at least in the beginning, right? Like 4, 5, and 6. That is a good story. Canon, the issue with canon is that they tried to expand this story, and they went forwards a little bit, and they went to the backwards, and they did the backside of it, and they're trying to expand. Now it's like this 9-story thing. Well, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9 were not good. Like those 6 movies combined probably put together for one good movie. It completely disrupts the entire storyline of all 9 movies. So where 4, 5, and 6 might be good, your entire storyline is complete shit because you don't even know who your main character is, and you don't know who your main.
Well, that's because of 7, 8, and 9. 7, 8, and 9 destroyed the main character aspect of it, which was Darth Vader, and then it destroyed a lot. But the one thing I'll say, I'm not a big fan of the prequel trilogy. There's a lot of things I love about it, but on the most part, the one thing I will say though, it's George Lucas at least, and so the creator wrote it. That's got to be considered canon. But if you look at the original like fan base, like that Star Wars came out in 1977, right? So it's been a long time. And the original fan base, they're getting up there, and I understand the idea of like tailoring it for a newer audience. And I don't know why they think this is the audience. Maybe they're right. I don't know. Don't care. I'm not watching it. But when you've got like reboots and all this other stuff happening, and Star Wars is like old and it's all fan fiction. George Lucas isn't writing any of this stuff anymore. It's like third degree. It's like been handed off so many times. At what point do you just like, nah, man, this isn't like nobody in the interviews. If you watch the interviews of the people who made the Acolyte, the actors and stuff, they don't even know they don't know anything about Star Wars. And I don't even really care that they don't know. They're actors. They should know, but I guess they don't have
They've been
to.
around
They
long enough. They've at least seen one film.
And the only thing I can say about that is there is a lot, like I will give them the slightest amount of credit in that there's a lot of source material. So it's like, how much of that are you expected to know for your one
the movies at least
piece of shit TV series?
Right.
A couple of shows, yeah. At least the
let's
movies.
not forget
and I would
all
say
of the
movies
books
should be
that were created with backstory.
Those should be canon
extending.
because those were really good.
I kind of feel
the
the same.
Thrawn
Like,
trilogy.
I think there was more time and effort and passion put into the fan fiction of the 1970s and 1980s than there was all of the other Star Wars movies and probably all of the other Star Wars entities combined.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing. Comic books. Sorry, Jake, go ahead.
No, you're good. I was just going to make a small note. I was like, I have my own issues with fan fiction, but we could get into that.
I mean, when you get weird,
down the
the
road.
fan fiction turns into like shipping and with the weirdos, and I don't know about that either.
Well,
But, like,
all you're doing is just rewriting what's already been given to you from another creator. So if you're just putting your spin on it, you're not really that creative. You're using everybody else's characters that were created. That world was created before you touched it. Those characters were created before you touched it. What are you really contributing other than saying, oh, this actually 2 + 2, let's make it equal 6. I didn't like how
You
they're
see a
2
lot
+
of that
2
in
made.
comics nowadays. They're taking
Oh, I agree.
some like loose concepts that from like older issues and then turning them into something else, like that one where Batman and Superman were in prison or whatever. And then
Superman was a prisoner and got graped in jail.
Because of an issue where Superman got like locked up from the Russians or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they now
Red Sun
expounded upon that scene 30 years later or whatever and said, oh yeah, by the way, while he was in there, this happened to him. It's like, come on, man. So comic books is another thing. Like Wolverine was one of my favorite comic books growing up. I love everything about Wolverine. But then we get to this series, this like point in the series where all the memories he had started turning out to be false, right? Like did a whole little arc, I think right before Fatal Attractions, where his memories were fake. So then right after that, eventually we get like Origins. And we get the whole actual story, and it's really not that it's not as interesting, in my opinion, as what I grew up believing. Because I guess I didn't know, because nobody knew other than what the comic book told us, right?
Right.
So it's like, and now, oh man, they've changed so much, and reboots is another thing. Reboots.
Even the big two knew when they started like getting too out of their own element with their own stories. You know, that's why they always had like Crisis on Infinite Earths. I spoke to you a little bit about this, Peter. That's why they had Convergence and everything, because they're trying to tighten everything back up. And every time they do that, they're like, well, what elements do we keep to say canon, and which ones do we just let fall off to the wayside? Well, there's a lot of dedicated readers that don't want you to throw any of it away.
I think they just need to like not reboot it, but I don't know how you do it, but have an event, because that's the problem with canon. It's like, okay, so we've let people take the story and everything about it and twist it so far that we either have to just kill that universe, start a new one, or somehow unravel all of these events and bring it back to the old whatever, to a certain
Right.
point at least. And it's like both of those don't sound very good to me. I don't know how you fix that, other than just. I did like DC having a lot of spin-off stories, right? Marvel they had a lot of these series that were more tied in a single universe, but DC branched out and had these, like, I wouldn't call them what if stories, but they're kind of just one-offs. You know, there's a lot more actually pretty good stories. I'd say DC did a better job with that. But they're not canon. You know, they don't
Right.
fit nice and neat within a story arc or something
Like,
else. You know?
like even the What If series on Disney Plus that they did for all the characters. It's like they're fun, but what is the means to that end? Why did you put these out there if it's just going to be one-offs and there's not
Yeah,
going to be anything to continue?
If it's a series, a what if series, would there be like a single storyline happening as they're doing these what if universe?
Yeah, each
ideas.
episode is dedicated to one idea that they had for a specific time for a character.
Yeah.
So I don't.
And
There has to
they
be some kind of
did
reason.
they did actually tie that whole thing in at the end of it. And like, I wasn't a fan. Like, I didn't really enjoy the what if thing. I think they did 2 seasons. I didn't see the second one, but the end of the first one, they tied it all into it being one, like, these were all events that transpired off of the main timeline that were all things that the Time Authority was trying to fix from the Loki series.
Okay.
So it tied into Loki, which I like that. That's fine. It's cute. And if that's like the way that you're going to make this exist in the universe, I'm kind of okay with this, except that that's also like everything that everybody is doing right now. So they were one of the earlier
Multiverse.
ones, but yeah, it's just, it has gotten so played out and so.
Oh man,
Well,
you
it's
can't really
because
see it.
when they do the live
It's
action
like all the
versions,
Batmans.
yeah, if they did that, they know it'd make money.
Yeah, they would. But now you've got all these. So we got all these like reboots, right? So which one's canon, right? We got to tie them all together in a multiverse, and then it's all now canon. It's like a headache after a certain point. Once Marvel kind of did it and were successful, DC tried to do it with the Flash, and
Another great example of this, and this isn't a canon thing so much because there is no alteration of canon, but another similar issue is The Walking Dead. I loved The Walking Dead TV show. Like, when it first came out, from day one, for I don't even know how many seasons, probably 4 seasons, I was there at the premiere when that show, like, I'd work, my daughter being born, none of it got in the way of me. Like, I was there for when that episode was playing on AMC every Sunday, and I watched the Aftermath show like religiously every week for like 4 years when that came out. And I was so
really good.
into it. And in season 4, they got renewed because it was like such a hot commodity for them. They got renewed for like 6 years after that. And it was just a crazy extension of that story. And so I was like, wow, I'm sitting here and I'm watching this, and I'm a story guy. I am dedicated to the story. And I want to know, literally, as I'm watching this, I want to know what is going to happen. What is the end game? What are we gaining towards on this? Is it Rick? Is this whole story about Rick? Like, I'm thinking this in season 4. Is this whole story about Rick and what is going to transpire to make this a tragedy or a comedy for Rick? Or is this going to be Carl's story? Mm-hmm. Or is this going to be somebody that they brought along? Is it going to be a
daughter
story of like the daughter? Yes, it probably should have been about the daughter. Except that you can't go through 6 seasons of a 10-season show and make it about the daughter who just doesn't even exist for 6 years.
No, what you do is you tie it up at the very end when she grows up.
No. See, that's the bullshit part of it.
That's lazy writing, but
it was good.
Like,
it was a good show. It was compelling. But in season 4, when they decided to make it a 10-season or whatever, it ended up being 11 or 12 seasons and 4 spinoffs and everything else, it's like, when they did that, I was into it for a little bit in season 5, and I came to the realization that it's like, this is just going to be an ongoing thing. If it's super successful in year 10, they're going to renew it for another 10 years. And I am not invested in this story for 20 years. It's going to keep just like a meat grinder going through people, and there is no story. There is no beginning or there is no end to this. It's just
the comic there is. It does have an ending in the comic, but it's not like the show. And I didn't actually finish that show. I don't know how it ends.
I didn't.
I know
I couldn't
roughly how it ends.
I stopped watching at season 8.
That's about season 9. I think I made it to season 9.
Oh, that's funny. Because if you watch season 9, episode 2, my hand opens up that show. Like, I did some background work on season 9, episode 2, and a couple other episodes, and my hand opened up season 9. So you'll
fuck out of here. Are you serious?
No, I'm dead serious.
Wait,
So,
like you really were? You were in season 9? And you didn't even watch it?
Yes. Yeah.
Pull that up, Peter.
Hold on.
And,
Yeah, I gotta
while
see
you're doing
this
that,
hand, dude.
Dude,
This has got to be some
you
fucking
better not
fancy ass
ever
hand.
wash that hand. Don't ever wash.
How do I
that
pull
hand.
it?
And I want a
How do I
photograph
pull
of
you
your
up?
hand. I want a signed
Oh, no.
photograph of your hand.
Oh God.
How do I
think
pull
that
up?
is the coolest freaking thing ever, dude.
Oh, dude. Oh man, I'm messing up everything here. How did I exit full screen? How do I make you full screen?
Oh, I
Double
don't know.
click on him. Yeah, I think I can do it. Oh, you hit the solo layout. There you go.
Oh,
Yeah,
All right, let's see. Oh no.
whoa, you messed. What the?
that wasn't me.
That's not. Yeah. What
All right, let's see.
So
this is like the renowned season 9 opening zombie hand.
I am not even kidding. I want a signed photograph of your hand.
So you know at the end of season 8, what's his name? The smart guy, was it Eugene?
Yeah.
Okay, so he rigged everybody's guns in Rick's camp to go off and blow their own hands off, right? So for the next season, they need to get a couple amputees to come on there and play those characters that had their hand blown off. And so for the opening season of season 9, it was foreshadowing for that other long-haired character to have his arm chopped off in the tent. So I got to basically help set all that up.
That is freaking cool.
That's freaking awesome, dude. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. How come you never told me about that? Should I even bother looking at this? It's gonna take me forever to find that.
It doesn't matter.
I'm trying to come up like I'm racking my brain for some kind. I ran into Warren Moodin at airport one time.
There we go.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, when I was like in diapers, one time I was told that a football player came up to me and said, "That kid's gonna play football someday." What did he know?
Shoot.
But
But,
like, would you consider the comic Walking Dead or the TV show the canon? Or I don't know, what's another one? The Marvel movies, the canon?
They are different.
Books?
They are. I will count it as being like, I'm okay and comfortable with it being two different things. Ninja Turtles do that. I'm okay with Ninja Turtles doing it. You can have the two different universes. I do think that the comic book is more core. It's a more foundational, story being told. But I also count the TV show as its own storyline. That way I can bitch and moan about the TV show going to complete shit after however many seasons, and the comic book is still okay.
Dude, that's a whole other problem with canon. I totally think the author, the original creator, definitely has say in canon, right? George Lucas is definitely in charge of canon Star Wars up until he sold it. But in like 30 years or whatever, George Lucas is gone. His original fan base is completely gone. Well, honestly, I think canon is the reason people get so upset about all this stuff, is because it doesn't fit into the world that they've accepted into their heads, right? And so they get angry about it. And in my opinion, if we ditched that idea, it would be like, okay, nothing is canon anymore. And I know that it sounds weird to even say, but like, I guess it wouldn't matter anymore, right? Because canon is what makes things matter.
So would you be invested at that point if it didn't matter?
That's true. That's a good point. I don't know. I know that I would be less angry about when they do something stupid.
Yeah,
you know
I
what?
mean,
I like writing stories. This would be my approach. If I wrote a story and it like I want to write a novel. I write a novel and that just it blows up. It's a really good novel. And I end up writing 2 more novels to complete the trilogy of that series, and maybe a couple other novels that are spin-off stories. You know what I mean? So where I have the core trilogy of books that I wrote, and then I have a couple other like offshoots that are just part of the universe. They may contain main characters, but they're not a part of the original trilogy storyline series. And the whole thing goes off to where this is an IP that is going to exist beyond my lifetime. In that event, you get like I would hand off control, and I think you have to be prepared. If you had a Star Wars kind of entity like that, you have to be prepared to hand off control to somebody, let that thing keep going, because you want your progeny to be able to take advantage of that too, financially. So if that being the case, I would need to be able to hand that off. But my rule, my personal thing would be like the core of everything that I wrote needs to stay the same. Now, beliefs are going to change in the future, and there's going to be different points of view, and we're going to have different like political and religious things going on in the future. They need to have room for that to acclimate into that story in order for it to have that kind of shelf life.
mm-hmm.
So that has to be taken into consideration, but there has to be like core values. There has to be a core like foundational element of that story to where it's like, like that original trilogy, it has to hold its own, and you can go off on these other tangent storylines. You can maybe write, a whole other trilogy about everything that happened afterwards, but it has to maintain some core elements.
Right.
A spin-off series that exists within the world, that's fine. And I guess technically the Acolyte could fall under that, except they changed some core things about the entire franchise, like the Force is female, and it's like running around impregnating people, and that's weird. That's not what I don't know. Maybe it is maybe the Force is a pervert.
We also had the same issue, and we had the same issue when they talked about the Protarian, whatever those things were when they first got introduced in the movie, the prokaryotes,
the Metachlorians.
The Metachlorians.
I know. It'd be easy to trash it and be like, the Force is female. That's so ridiculous. But no, I mean, technically, I thought Metachlorians were ridiculous too. And that just set the stage for them like, well, is a Metachlorian a homosexual Metachlorian, or is it a pansexual Metachlorian? What kind of Metachlorians are they?
Well, yeah, that kind.
Do they even have genders?
The Force is male, but it identifies female, because if we're gonna play by this in the canon in Episode 1, Anakin's mother was not impregnated by a man, so she says. He just came about. So if the Force impregnated her, it took a spiritual dick to do it. So I'm just saying.
It exists on a spectrum, right? Of good and evil, the dark side and the light side, and it just sometimes gets out of hand a little bit, like, naughty.
Did you just say there's a dick side and a light and a
dick side and a light side? So I don't know. Maybe the Force is perverted, and that's what we're going to get out of the Acolyte. Is we really get to see another side of the Force. It's not really about the dark or the light at all. It's about I don't know.
Well, I always thought I'd be
sexuality is. When the Force was young, did it identify? Was it the Jedi's beliefs?
When the Force was young, it was confused.
Yeah, and because of those bigots, those bigot Jedi's trying to manipulate the Force into conforming into what they wanted it to be, the Force wasn't able to actually be what it was meant to be inside.
So, that's kind of like the big thing that I have with this now is that these are great stories that were being told. And now they have the ability to continue these. And they actually did a good job. Like some of these were really good. Rogue One was
I like
really
Qui-Gon
good.
Jinn.
Yeah.
Qui-Gon Jinn was awesome.
No, I didn't like him. But
no, he was awesome. You suck.
I did not like Qui-Gon Jinn.
Oh, he's a badass in the books.
I had problems. I could see, you know what? It's Liam
Neeson.
Yeah, I had a problem with Liam Neeson.
You don't like that Liam Neeson's, man?
I didn't. Not in that. I liked it when he was in Taken 1 and 2, but not 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7.
Yeah, it was a bit more.
I mean,
only
how many
get
times you
taken
get
so many
taken
times.
until you just got, you know?
He has a specific series of skills that will last 7 movies
Yes.
for him to accomplish.
And then
I
he'll
don't-
take that character into every other film ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if there was any other movies that he did that I was like really big fan of, but I did like him as Qui-Gon Jinn.
Right.
You know, it was heartbreaking when he got stabbed by that badass Darth Maul.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a travesty right there, is that they killed off Darth Maul, who was an excellent villain.
He was
and
a
did
really
not
cool
get
villain.
his due, like, course.
Oh, are you kidding me? They brought him back in that
Yeah.
in that other non-canon movie, Holo.
Yeah. Just for that.
You
Just
see,
for that
that'll-
one scene.
That's the one where we get him back.
That's the movie
fucking
where
Solo
I was started thinking, so canon doesn't matter because that movie would have been great if it wasn't Han Solo.
Oh, you're so right. You're so right. That was a garbage shit pile movie that would have been simply, if you had simply changed the name of the character, it would have been.
It
fine.
could. I don't even care if he changed it to Dash Rendar or somebody I don't care as much about, but we've heard of him. Just change
Yeah,
it to
true.
anything else. But Solo being the father of the rebellion is ridiculous. That's stupid, and they should
Not
be
only
slapped
that,
for that.
They ruined his whole origin with him and the Wookiees. I mean, he grew up with the Wookiees,
He
right? How's
saved-
he acting?
Didn't he save?
Because they had to explain. They had to explain exposition. They had to explain everything.
Well, there's, like,
Because we are
books on-
idiots
but there's-
that don't understand.
I don't accept.
I don't know.
There's a couple of different things. There was a book that Han Solo was a part of the Imperial Navy or whatever, not
Yeah,
like as
probably
some
where those-
gimmick to get off of some planet. But then there was another book that was more. The movie was more based off the Solo book, from what I understand, because I didn't read that book and I barely read a synopsis of the first.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter
I don't even
because
think
the
the first
entire
book was about
storyline of
Solo.
that movie, you don't even see the entire storyline. There is no storyline to that movie because the movie is 100% simple exposition and explanations of every single talking point that was ever made in the history of Han Solo in every prior movie. That's all they did.
Yeah.
Was they just
Every
explained
scene was
prior
like
lines
straight out of
dialogue.
a line of dialogue from one of the original trilogy.
That's it. That was
Even how he got his
everyone.
blaster. It's like, really?
yeah.
Do we need to know how he got his blaster? He didn't just
They're
go to
like-
like the local pawn shop and be like, that one.
37
that one looks
that
cool.
would have been a much better explanation. 37 minutes into the movie, you're sitting there and you're watching it, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know what should Han Solo say right now," and they're like, "I don't know, let's go watch episode 5," and like he talks about this thing over here, so just explain that.
Woody
Here's
Harrelson.
your dialogue.
Of all the people. Now, let me just. Let me do a Woody Harrelson. I don't know if I can do. Now, let me just tell you about something else. Solo. You got the we got the bank to rob. Man, we got the what
I don't hear a
even do it. What
difference
is the
whatsoever. I think it's spot
what
on.
is the power? Like I can't even quote Solo, so it's like yeah. Every time I hear Woody Harrelson talk, I think of like Thin Red Line for some reason. He's always got like
Okay.
chew or chaw in his mouth.
Right.
That's like just classic Woody Harrelson. I don't know. I have to maybe I'll do some edit and throw a Woody Harrelson clip in there.
That'd be good.
But I should have Cheers. Damn it! I should have done a Cheers one.
Nah, like I think a lot of the whole is it canon or is it not has to do a lot with the creators leasing off whatever rights to whatever part of his product. Because when it throwing back to Ninja Turtles again, because
Yeah.
it's just my jam. I can't remember which one it was, but either Peter Laird or Kevin Eastman, one of them is married to his lore of creating the Turtles, and the other one doesn't give a shit. Balls to the wall, just give him money, he's good to go. So
That's
it's
the
just
younger one.
I have no idea. I can't remember which one it was, but
Peter, I think that's Peter Laird.
okay. Anyway, so yeah, I think that has to do a lot with what would be canon and what wouldn't be. And of course, when you get into the corporations like Marvel, you got to have different writers come on because nobody lasts.
Yeah.
So you're gonna get bad episodes, but as long as it's overall good, it won't disappear you know? So
Well, what about situations where even the creator had to come back because it was like the fans, and this is actually admirable, the fans hated it, and so he came back and retconned it, the canon, Dragon Ball Z, because of, in my opinion, because of this guy. Say ya, man.
yeah, nobody cared for that outfit.
That's
In my opinion, the lore, the canon, like you were telling me, okay, we were talking about this. So the original Dragon Ball Z or Goku story ended with Frieza. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, so Akira Toriyama had the idea from Dragon Ball all the way up to when Goku became Super Saiyan. From when he first met Master Roshi and Krillin, all the way to the battle with Frieza to become Super Saiyan. He had all that marked out and laid out, ready to go. And then it did so well that the producers or whoever behind the curtain was like, we want more. Give us more. We're not stopping. We're going to keep this thing going. So he was like, ah, shit. Well, I always wanted to play with time travel. So he put his hand in that. And that's how we got Trunks. And
that movie was
Cell
awesome. That Trunks movie was, in my opinion, badass because it fit perfectly in the
Right.
Android saga.
Yeah.
The TV
But
show.
None of those films are canon, though. Because if you look
That one
at
should be.
the films, they all are the exact same thing that happened in the series. Cooler is Frieza. The Tree of Might, that was Raditz. That's his brother. And if you do Lord Slug, that's just going against Demon Piccolo again. And then,
yeah.
it's just, but, if it makes
I never
money,
thought
keep
about it.
making it happen.
I didn't watch most of the movies, and I liked the show. I've said this to everybody. I did not like the Boo saga, and
Yeah.
the GT I'm not a fan of. Super after, so basically because Stanley is like, I have no idea what the hell y'all are talking about.
No, I'm keeping a straight face on it. I'm sitting here and
Yeah. So basically, Dragon Ball Z is Dragon Ball when Goku's a little kid, he grows up, and then Dragon Ball Z goes all the way till the Boo saga. In my opinion, the season before that with Cell was where that should have ended, but they went with another season or whatever with Boo, which is this big pink, like ridiculous bad guy. They should have ended it with Cell, and so then they made GT where everybody's grown up now. All the kids are grown up, and it was not as good. They kind of went crazy with it, and that series, the creator took a break. He's like, I don't know, he was like a consultant or something,
right?
But he wasn't very heavily involved. The show got like bonkers and weird, and it was not that good. So he came back and basically retconned GT and made Dragon Ball Z Super, which takes place right after the Boo saga. And that was much better. And apparently it's a more well received. That's an example of like, you know what, canon can be retconned, right? Without having to do time travel. Just get the creator in there and say, nope, we're just going to ignore this. Like Star Wars can be saved. Everyone, I hear Star Wars is dead all over the place. It's not dead. All you do is need somebody with some balls to go in there and just be like, oh yeah, all that, nah, that's not canon. You can just throw those DVDs in the trash. This is where it's going to be. Mandalorian is good. We like it. We're going to do some more of that. We're going to do some more that ties into that stuff. All this other stuff. In fact, we're going to make a whole new trilogy that's the new sequel trilogy that's not going to destroy the original trilogy. And that's going to be canon. Like, they could do that without having to do time travel or anything. Just retcon it.
Well,
you know what I would do?
What did 7, 8, and 9 accomplish that 4, 5, and 6 didn't already show you?
That's what I'm saying. It's like that whole storyline is just, it goes to mush.
Well, no, they had some cool ideas,
but
then people are like, wow, this is going to make a lot of money. I want my name on it, so I've got to have some input and destroy everything. And then you got enough people doing that. And we got to sell toys, and we got to make it female. We got to, like, appease every person on the planet, and to the point where nobody's happy. Everyone agrees that it's shit for the most part. Like,
Right.
so there's that.
I mean, kid on desert planet meets excellent pilot.
Dude, oh, okay.
Goes
So
off.
don't even go through the list because there's not a list. It's episode 7. There's not a list because episode 7 is episode 4 with a new paint job. It is the exact same movie.
What they call the new Death Star?
Yeah, they call it Star Killer Base.
Star Killer. It's like Finn was cool. In fact, Finn was actually the most original part of that whole movie was Finn. And what did they do with him?
Focused on him.
They sidelined him. They're like, you and Ray can't be together.
That was
That's
so
not
interesting. He was such a unique dynamic because we hadn't seen that before. He was a stormtrooper who was like, I can't do this anymore. Like he was having mental health. I hate that. He was having like moral. There was a moral dilemma for them. Now all of a sudden, like the stormtroopers were not just the clones of a really cool actor. They're like human beings. There's like an element here to them that's like they're probably 99% of the time they are committed to this for God knows what reasons. They've got some good reasons, guaranteed. But you can still have the moral dilemma, and when you pull one of them out of it, what happens in that world? Like there was so much opportunity there that they just
shit all over.
Just didn't. They know that like rather than doing that, they decided to have them running around on a planet with like.
There were some really cool actual there's some cool aspects in that movie. The storyline, but there's like scenes. Now, first of all, I hate that the Han Solo death scene, right? Throwing Han Solo down the garbage chute that's just low, man. You do that to the Emperor. You don't do that to Han Solo.
I got something to say about
the garbage chute, bro. Blow him up. Like let him blow himself up or something.
The death of a character has to be equal to the value of the character. So that's like one of the big rules for like Walking Dead. Yeah. Like the more important the character
but
is,
on that note,
the more
his
of
death,
like, that kind of death they have to have. And Han Solo's death, no, it doesn't meet that. Throwing him down the trash pile doesn't give him the death. He should have had some kind of like, he was
a hero. He should have had a big heroic death. But if you're going to look at it like morally speaking, he did kind of have a morally sound demise. He was trying to help his son, who was evil,
that
like
doesn't make
appease
his demise.
pain by allowing him to transition completely to the dark side. That's a really fucked up way to think. Like, but that's a good father, and in that aspect.
Is it?
But nobody cares about that. They care about Han Solo. Mm-hmm. He's Han Solo. Does he have to be like? Apparently, he's been gone the dude's life for a long time. He's been out of his life. So why all of a sudden is he so like? I want to give you this one thing. I didn't pay child support. I wasn't there when you lit your first lightsaber. I wasn't there when you used the Force. I'm sorry, son. Let me allow you to transition to the dark side. Let me do this for you. And then, oh shit! And then like, oh god, never mind. And then they throw him down the garbage chute. That's not how he should have gone out, dude.
Like he hits the bottom of the trash pile, and like a check for $100 floats out of his hand.
Yeah, he ain't coming back with robotic legs after that. Nope.
They totally should have made it to where you hear the thud.
Yeah, right? They might as well have. So I don't consider that canon. I'd like to think he blew up, like, with all those explosives that he planted on that thing.
Yeah, there's a dragon.
That's how he actually died in that movie. So I just made new canon in my head, and I'm happy with that. You know? I think that's how, like, it needs to be. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. This is why it was an interesting topic, because canon, it's, like, stupid to me.
Mm-hmm.
But it does actually, you make a good point earlier when we're talking about, like, if it's not canon, then there's no stakes, and how can you get invested in something? That's true. So it is a dilemma.
Well,
I'm not
you
sure
have to have a story. The whole idea of canon, like the whole basis for canon, is simply that you have a story, and future subsequent stories that are
Should tie to
pertinent
that one.
that story.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got to tie in. And when
They
measure up.
like if you have a good one and it's a winner, then your subsequent stories, when they go back and they change that story and they redo what was canon, what was known as part of that story, when they redo things, better be good. Because if it's not, if you are just ham-fisting an agenda into the story, if you are simply trying to accomplish a political goal instead of focusing on the actual good story that people enjoyed in the first place, then fuck you. Like you got it all wrong.
Right. That's the whole reason Henry Cavill left the Witcher series.
Yeah. How many series have they ruined and movies and everything with this? Like, for one, we're all tired of the political bullshit. Like, we need something that's just fun, like a Ghostbusters, but not the Ghostbusters
Especially
anymore.
this
Because what do you mean?
You
mean like we need it this year?
Yeah,
Like,
this
we need it
year
now.
is the year we need that.
Yeah. Something
I'm
that's
all
fresh.
about the escapism.
Yeah, escapism. We have been beaten over the head for like 20 years with what we should be afraid of, what we should be hating, or who we should hate, and all this stuff. Man, I want to go back to Super Soakers. You know, like, why do we have to outlaw that? We were talking about that the other day, man, last night. That was like, why do we get rid of Super Soakers? Why do we get rid of just cool shows? And I can think of a few TV shows that didn't even make it that actually probably would have been pretty cool, like Project Geeker. Anyone
Here's
ever
a
heard of
hot
that
take.
one?
Yeah, I remember
Here's
that
the
one.
hot take. They want your kids to be docile.
Yeah, plugged in, and having all this fun, exciting stuff, toys to buy, and Super Soakers to go run around and play with. It's
Video games,
that's just
Ninja
too much.
Turtles, and Power Rangers all are violence. They teach your kids how to be violent. So if you're violent, we can't control you. If you show any kind of conflict towards us, we can't control you. So let's throw you Barney. You never knew what a fucking conflict was.
Oh yeah,
Let's give you
Dogman Captain Underpants when you're in fifth grade.
Let's give you
Like, that's
Teletubbies.
reading material for fifth graders.
Right.
Like, really? That was like the reading level to me was first grade, maybe second.
Yeah.
So,
Third grade, I was reading X-Men, and like that's a lot of words on a page. You know what I mean?
Third and fourth
Like-
grade was all Goosebumps, baby.
Yeah, Goosebumps. What
Every day.
Goosebumps was awesome.
So for clarification here, we're against lawn darts.
No,
Hey, we
are for
talked about lawn darts.
Nah, let's get Darwinism
How many
back
people
in
died
the
from
ring.
lawn darts?
Yes,
Let's go.
Oh, things started to go downhill the second they started building fences around schools. The fences aren't to protect the kids from people coming in to get them. The fences are there to keep Darwinism from happening. Kids running out in the middle of the street during the
Right.
school day.
And it's unfortunate that it's like necessary because those schools are a lot like prisons, man. Like, the food's not that good. The kids have to walk in single file, and I'm not a fan of, I understand if you had kids running and all over the place, you could lose one, or you need a little bit of law and order in there, right? But like, man, I don't know. It doesn't feel right in some of these schools.
That's right. Take the fences down. Let little Timmy run out into the road.
He's going to learn his lesson.
Yeah.
Let it
You
sort
don't only learn it. He only needs to learn it
One time.
once. That's
It'll
it.
never happen again.
and
Dude,
all
you
the
want to see
kids will
something
learn from
funny
that.
talking about all this? Like, we were watching the other day, we were watching Friends.
Mhm.
Like, epic, all-time great episodic content. You know what I mean? Like one of the great sitcoms, even if you're not into it. You like, everybody can kind of like still align with the
I'm
idea. that,
surprised
you
how
know,
many
it-
people
it's
shit on
great.
Friends.
I-
It's crazy.
I never really disliked Friends. I watched it here
I'm
and
not
there.
even saying like I wasn't ever into it, but Rachel's into it, and I watch it with her, and I
watch-
enjoy watching.
Yeah,
it with her.
I watched it with
Man,
Megan, and she got me into it, and I quote that shit every other day now.
yeah,
I haven't seen it since it aired, but I never disliked it.
It has a hard time standing. Like I don't know that would fly today.
Well,
Like some of the
Seinfeld,
stuff in
man,
that
that's
show.
a hard one to watch. For some reason, I used to love Seinfeld, and some of the episodes are still classic.
Oh,
But
sure.
man, there's a lot of them that just don't hit like they did back then.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, I love the Magic Loogie. That was a good one.
I mean, Kramer still rocks. I still love Kramer.
Yeah.
Of course.
But well, man, we're at an hour, so I think we kind of like talked about this. I think we had like a pretty good discussion.
Is that
This was
horse
fun.
beat?
Yeah, the beat that
Probably.
horse is beat.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to get better. Hopefully, we get something really cool. I'm looking forward to Deadpool. That looks like it's going to be a fun movie. But again,
Nerd watches this and takes something from it for his show. It would be.
yeah, right. Star Wars is dead. That's what he's going to get from it. But yeah. Anyways, thanks guys for joining me and everybody that's watching. And we'll catch y'all next time.
I just wanna ride it. As I set it free, I'm standing. Keep on, skipping stones. I'm a smooth pane of glass. I'm skipping stones. Sometimes I stay